Have you ever faced a moment where you had to trust God even when the path made no sense? Today, we're exploring one of the most powerful stories in the Bible. The story of Abraham and Isaac, a story that shows what it truly means to trust God with your whole heart. This is not just an ancient story. It's a reminder for every one of us today that even in our hardest moments, God is faithful. So, let's step into the life of Abraham, a man who walked with God even when he didn't understand the journey. Abraham was an old man when God first made him a promise so big, so impossible, that it could only come from God himself. God told him, "Abraham, you will be the father of many nations. Your descendants will be as countless as the stars." But Abraham and his wife Sarah had no children. They had waited for years, decades, and still, nothing. Yet Abraham kept believing. And then, when Abraham was about 100 years old, something miraculous happened. Sarah gave birth to a son, a baby boy named Isaac. Imagine the joy in that household. The laughter, the tears, the celebration. This child wasn't just a blessing, he was the fulfillment of God's promise. Isaac grew, bringing light and joy into Abraham and Sarah's lives. He was their miracle child. Their hope. God's fulfilled promise. But then came a moment Abraham never expected. A moment that would test his faith in a way nothing else ever had. One day, God spoke to Abraham again. "Abraham," he called. And Abraham answered, "Here I am." Then God said something that must have shaken him to his core. "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and offer him as a sacrifice on a mountain I will show you." It was the unthinkable. Isaac, the promised child. The one God had given them after so many years of waiting. And now, this? But the Bible tells us something astonishing. Early the next morning, Abraham got up, prepared the donkey, called Isaac, and began the journey. Why? Because Abraham trusted God. Even when he couldn't see the full picture, he believed God's promises never fail. This wasn't a story about losing a son. It was a story about surrendering everything to the God who gave everything. For 3 days, Abraham and Isaac traveled toward the mountain. 3 long days. 3 days of silence, prayer, and deep thought. 3 days of wrestling with the hardest command he had ever received. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw Mount Moriah in the distance. He told the helpers traveling with them, "Stay here. Isaac and I will go worship. And we will come back." Those words, "we will come back," show the depth of Abraham's faith. He didn't know how God would do it. But he believed God would keep his promise. Isaac, unaware of what God had commanded, walked beside his father. He carried the wood for the sacrifice on his back, while Abraham carried the fire and the knife. As they climbed, Isaac looked up and asked, "Father, the fire and the wood are here. But where is the lamb for the offering?" What a question! A question that must have pierced Abraham's heart. And Abraham replied with words full of faith, "God himself will provide the lamb." And they continued walking. When they reached the top of the mountain, Abraham built an altar. He arranged the wood. And then, with a trembling but obedient heart, he prepared to offer Isaac, the son he loved. Just as Abraham lifted the knife, in that very moment, a voice from heaven called out, "Abraham! Abraham!" Abraham stopped and answered, "Here I am." And the angel of the Lord said, "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Abraham looked up, and there, caught in the bushes, was a ram. God had provided exactly what was needed, just as Abraham had said. With overwhelming relief and gratitude, Abraham took the ram and offered it instead of Isaac. In that moment, father and son stood together on the mountain, witnessing firsthand the faithfulness of God. Abraham named that place, "The Lord will provide." Not just because God provided a ram, but because God always provides, even when we can't see the way forward. After the sacrifice, God spoke to Abraham again. He said, "Because you have obeyed me, I will bless you. Your descendants will be as countless as the stars in the sky, and through your family, all nations on earth will be blessed." This moment wasn't just about Abraham's faith. It was about God's heart, a God who keeps his promises, who sees our struggles, and who provides what we need at the perfect time. Isaac lived. The promise continued. And through their family came Jesus Christ, the ultimate provision for all of humanity. The story of Abraham and Isaac is more than a dramatic moment in history. It's a reminder for all of us today. Sometimes, God asks us to trust Him in ways that stretch our hearts. Sometimes the road is confusing. Sometimes obedience feels costly. But Abraham's story shows us this. Even when we don't understand, we can trust God's heart. We can trust His timing. We can trust His promises. And just like Abraham discovered on that mountain, God still provides. Maybe not in the way we expect. Maybe not in the moment we want. But always, always, in the way that's best. So whatever you're facing today, whatever mountain is in front of you, remember Abraham's words, God Himself will provide. May this story strengthen your faith and remind you that you are never alone. God is with you. And He is faithful. If this story encouraged you today, don't forget to follow this page for more uplifting Bible stories and Christian life lessons. Take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder of God's faithfulness. Your support helps us spread these messages of hope even further. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.